at Kraneshare, we read or we give our takes and our view based on the facts. We always go to the original source to see and read ourselves, and then factually report what is happening, what is going on. An entire report has 15 sections. Out of the 15 sections, he had 11 sections touch based on economic policies, the initiative they signed up for, the next 5 years, what they should aim to achieve, domestic international affairs policies, all of that. That just shows to me again that he cares the economy, cares how the country progress from here for the next 5 years very much. He covered the majority of the contents along those lines. And the highlights Brandon touched based on very, early on the page. In very short summaries, high quality growth is what he's focusing on. People are the focus, make people more wealthier, more healthier, and make people more having a happy livelihood through circulation. So he wants to circulate the domestic economy. He also continue to welcome international investments. He also mentioned, the global initiative that China signs up to, green climate, all these targeting with carbon issues that he signed up for. And above all of that, he repeatedly mentioned, Brandon said this, a modern China, modern society. He literally set 2 milestones in his report. One is by 2035, China would achieve like a medium modernized society, and by mid of the century, they're going to become a complete advanced, society. That sticks to me is he's focusing on grow the economy of all these reports he mentioned, and a lot of analysts on the streets has done a bit of estimates and forecast. That would mean from now 2022 to 2035, next 13 years, China's GDP growth would have to sit somewhere around 4 to 5% per annum. So that shows his commitment to economic. He said himself, the next 5 years is very important for China economically to grow. It's a crucial period for China to achieve the long-term target, long-term goals. Let's watch closely to assess the background is who the new leadership, who are the people he's going to appoint. And obviously on this page, we have some of the key, stakeholders on the key roles and positions around Xi Jinping's. The reasons we list a couple of them here today is these are probably the most important role in the new leadership that will impact our capital markets, investments, financials, and investor sentiments on the team. We just want to, do a bit of background digging on these people and tell you what we found and who are they, for you to know exactly what they have been doing in the past, to understand, to get yourself familiarized with these people. First and foremost is Li Qiang. This guy is market expecting him to be the new premier, judging by he walked out second to Xi Jinping. This is usually the tradition that the second walked out person would be the premier to be, just like in 2017, Li Keqiang did the same walk after Xi Jinping. So we obviously also agree with the market. He's highly likely to be the premier to be. But who is Li? You got to understand his background before jump to a conclusions of what he will do and what he will achieve for China. Premier holds the most crucial position in China, setting economic policies, outlooks, and then subsequently decide a lot of directions on area to development focus. Li had a very strong, comprehensive, broad local economic growth experience. Very early on, he was one of the instrumental, players and leaders implementing Deng Xiaoping's open policy. He then moved on to become a local governor in Zhejiang. For those of you who doesn't know where Zhejiang is, it's the third largest province in China that contribute, the most to China's growth ranked by GDP. And also he's from Wenzhou. Wenzhou is a place known for Chinese millionaires and billionaires. It's almost everyone there is a millionaires, billionaires, very famous of knowing how to do a business, how to support private corporates, private business. He then moved on to Shanghai in 2017 until year to date, 2022. Over the 5 years of him being a leader in Shanghai, that he managed to lead Shanghai to grow its GDP by 44%. Make Shanghai to become the 4th largest city ranked by GDP worldwide, just after LA. So they are the 4th city now in Shanghai. He also, Zhejiang is the headquarters of Alibaba, if you know. He also knows Jack Ma himself. He's very big supporter of private firms. And during his terms in Shanghai, set up the China NASDAQ, the stock market, the star market, for accommodate all these Chinese unicorns to be able to list it locally. He was also instrumental in launching the ETS, the emission trading systems in China. He's very much front and center in promoting innovation technology, modernize, the society infrastructure. He's a big supporter of private firm and also international firm. He literally brought in Tesla to Shanghai. I think it wasn't Brandon, within 8 months, they managed to lock in the deal, set up the factory, allowing Tesla to go manufacturing the vehicles right after 8 months of starting to the end. And Tesla now producing 500,000 vehicles in Shanghai every year. So he has a very, very strong background in economics. He knows how to get the job done, as showed by the example, by the results. Just like Xi Jinping's work report, I think it's very balanced and comprehensive. I think Li also brings a very balanced experience in his past, that's being a local governor. And he is definitely would be a very good candidate to deliver and achieve Xi Jinping's goal of a modernized society, modernized China. And then move on to two other key players. These are the players you probably heard from them or heard their names very often. Yi Huiman is a very important figure in China. He leads CSRC. He's continued to be the 20th, CCP's member. That gave us the confidence that the CSRC's all proactive achievements, constructively dialogue with US regulators, come to an agreement, getting things resolved and solved with HFCAA, getting the audits into the first step of physical auditing in Hong Kong, make all of that happening, talk to US regulators, become a face to international regulators to become more accommodative, cooperative, make Chinese capital markets more open and acceptable to the standards to international investors. He clearly get appraised by that. He clearly get recognized by those achievements. He's continued to going to be a key figures to play in financial market. Obviously, he's the chairman of CSRC at the moment. There's high expectations he's going to take more senior roles in the banking, in the regulation front, in the financial industry for sure. And then Qin Gang, for being an ambassador to US, he's a very known figure to make sure how to deal with US and China's relationship. There's high belief that now he's get promoted to the Central Committee. He's going to continue to fulfill very important roles in China. All these figures has worked with, Western investors, knowing how things should be done internationally to make China internationalized. All these figures going to be a huge plus for international investors to welcome them, continue to hold the senior positions and make China's financial markets continue to be open for foreign investors to come in. We have to address this because we often get asked by this COVID situation happening in China. Obviously, the vaccination rate for the elderly are inching up, but not as high as a lot of developed countries. That being said, China is now feeling a little bit more comfortable with their very much of a good rollout of the frequent testing systems in place. They can test any local community very easily, very quickly to identify the case. That gives them a lot of confidence. And also their own development of vaccination gives them a lot of confidence that can roll out more effectively for the elderly peoples. And at the same time, we do see a gradual but slower, but it's starting of relaxation on COVID policies. For instance, Macau now has relaxed the 7+3+4 days of quarantine rules to just 7+3 days. And Hong Kong has now, from weeks of in hotel quarantine, you can just land in Hong Kong and go home. One of our colleagues from Hong Kong, she hasn't go home to see their family. She just called me. She said, I landed in Hong Kong, everything's smooth, take the whole family, go home. 3 days, we're done. We got the green barcode. We can go anywhere we like, which is all great sign. And China government also issued thousands of student visas for the foreign students to come back to the country and start and resume their study. So all these steps, you could get a sense that's underneath, the framework. Now people feel more comfortable, given the guidelines from different cities, now start to relax. And very recently, you also got a bit of an update from Chinese airline companies that they are now increasing the frequency and the number of the flights and the international flights to China and from China too. So China to Asia, US and Europe all increased the number of flights, we do feel that relaxation measures are gradually slowly being put into places, into different cities and different measures. So we only expect this would become more relaxed, more welcomed by what we would hope and to achieve. And obviously, if we go to next page on the statements, what I want to touch base on is Chinese regulator has learned from their past experience on being too muted to respond to market events, which is not in their traditional habit to react or respond to the market event. But because what they have learned from past is to clear communication, very pleased to see them become more proactively coming out and addressing certain market events or telling market what they are doing, what they are planning. This is absolutely welcomed, at least from our perspective, wanting to know what they're doing, what they have been achieving or aiming to deliver. And Brendan mentioned at the beginning, when these market event happened on Monday, market sell-off, very clearly, PBOC and the SAFE all came out to make a joint announcement saying, look guys, we are working more closely, more coordinately, we help to provide the liquidity. They also reassured Hong Kong to continue to be the very important international financial center, so on and so forth. To me, this is first ever that PBOC and SAFE come out at the market event to announce and comfort investors. I trust it because they would have not come out if they're not doing really meaningful work. And if you go to the next page, you can say, what is the meaningful work? What could they do? PBOC and the policymakers in China have a lot of dry powder. I say that again, a lot they can do if they chose to, is to help the economy and stimulate the economy if they choose to, both on the physical and monetary policies that can help the economy a lot. They thus far chose a very smaller in scale, mini stimulus targeting industry to help on the demand side. But if they chose to, they can provide more liquidity, more broad and high level guidance on liquidities and even on some infrastructure, green infrastructure projects. They can do a lot of things to help the labor market, help the economy to grow really robustly in Q4, which you have seen on this page is over the years, over this year particularly, they have been doing very proactively rates cuts across different rates that they use in China, either impact corporate lending, impact mortgage, impact the small and mid corporate borrowing rates, so on and so forth, in all different directions that are helping the liquidity to be very healthy in Chinese financial system, which we think is continue to be the case and will help. And then I think at the end of the day, PBOC now with the leadership all confirmed, they will start focusing on their job of making the policies and announcing where they should be deploying those liquidity. You will hear more announcements, obviously, in the coming months and week. What is more important is December, when all these new leaders has started the handover process, start to sit down and meet together in this, the economic working group in December. That is when and where you get more clarities and more directions on policies.